Hey everyone, guess what? We do not have ugly swag. We have spaced out radio gear that you're going to want to wear. Why? Because no one wants to wear ugly clothing. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com and go shopping today. You'll be glad you did. And it's a great way to support our show. Once you get your gear, send us a picture of you rocking out in your SOR swag. spacedoutradio.com, shop there today, and make yourself look good.
Welcome, everyone, to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. Tonight is going to be an awesome night. We have Debz Shakti joining us for hours 1 and 2. Always a great time. Then we have Drew Banky and maybe, I don't know, special guest for hour 3. We'll see how that plays out. Definitely don't want to go anywhere. It's going to be an awesome, jam-packed, action-packed show right here on the Spaced Out Radio After Hours radio show. Let me go ahead and see who has come in first here tonight, who has the medal positions. And the courtesy of Race Fan, it appears to be Race Fan with the gold, Kitty Catty Whack with the silver, and Julie Farrell with the bronze. Nice to see Julie placing in the top 3. Thanks for coming on in, everyone. Race Fan saying good evening, Rob. Kitty Catty Wax saying hi, Rob and all. Julie Farrell saying brother G. Sister Julie. Awesome. Glad you could be here. Saying happy 10 years of SOR. Yeah, we may be talking about that a little bit later today. The little birdie says we may be doing that. Also, Mark Sanchez, a decade of Spaced Out Radio. Wow. Definitely glad that you were here to kind of celebrate this thing tonight as well. Let's see, we got Roger Murray, rest in peace. Emily Timms, one of 66 children who witnessed the alien encounter in Zimbabwe in 1994. Gone too soon. I heard of the news, not sure what really happened behind that, but she will be missed. Rest in peace, Emily Timms. Wow, just mind-blowing. Tim James is in the building. Tim James, thanks for coming on in. We do appreciate you showing up here. Let's see, who else do we have? We have Mel WD40 getting us lubed up, ready for the show tonight. Appreciate you. Saying Lube Master doing in the chat. That's right. Thanks for coming in. Also, Linda, I see you out there. Who else do we have? The Andromedan. Hello, SORs. Hey, the Andromedan, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you showing up as we try to get to as many people as possible here. Hillbilly Herb, thanks for showing up. Good evening from Brown Dwarf. Good evening, Brown Dwarf. Thanks for coming in tonight. Lars Jansen, thanks for coming in. We appreciate you showing up. Necessary Dialogue, I see you. Thomas Rock, I do see you too. Corey Tiger, thanks for coming in. We want retribution. Super crazy movie geek. That's absolutely correct. Thanks for coming on in. TETs, thanks for coming on in tonight. Going to be an awesome show. Awesome people here tonight. Awesome energy in the building. As we get ready to start the podcast side of this thing, right about now. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. Tonight, we have our guest, Debz Shakti, joining us for hours 1 and 2. We have Drew Banky and maybe some special guests for hour 3. Stick around and find out right here at Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show. As we get ready to start the radio side of this in about 10 seconds, let's go ahead and get it in. Greetings, space travelers. Welcome home. You just tuned your dial to Spaced Out Radio, the only place where you can own the night. I am your host, Mr. Rob G, and tonight we're broadcasting to you on our terrestrial affiliates across North America, plus digitally on digital platforms all around the world. Remember, you can access our archives for absolutely free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to follow us on X and Instagram at Spaced Out Radio and at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website, it's still spacedoutradio.com, where the options are endless. You can stay up to date with the SR Newswire. You can get yourself some official Spaced Out swag. Plus, you can rock out to the man you hear right there, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Doll, plus so much more. As I said a couple times tonight, we're going to have an awesome show. We have Debz Shakti joining us, hours 1 and 2, Drew Banky in hour 3, and maybe some special guests. We'll see, as it actually is the 10th anniversary show. It's actually day 1 of year 11. We are officially right now, first show of going into year 11 right here at Spaced Out Radio. Awesome accomplishment. We'll be talking more about that later on tonight. But first, let's go ahead and get ready to bring our guest in for the night. Just always pleasant, always wonderful to have on the show. I would have her a million times on the show, and maybe we'll hit a million times at some point down the line. As I go ahead and bring in our guest, Debz Shakti. Hey, Deb.
Oh, hey, Rob. So great to see you. Thank you for having me on the show.
It's not even like having you on the show. It's just like having a great friend come and have a conversation. That's kind of how I look at it. And it always feels that way. So I just know it's going to be awesome even tonight. And it's a special night as this is the first year of year 11 of Spaced Out Radio, which is insane to even think about. I know before I even came around, I know you've been on this show before. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a follower of the show since its inception, but was on it several times probably before I got to be on your show. And it just feels like family. And I just love y'all so much. So thank you. It's good. It's a great honor to be here.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And for everybody out there watching us tonight, you know, Debz, we have her on as much as we can get her because it's all about getting, you know, understanding energy, understanding how you can affect the bigger picture through energy, because really everyone has that superpower within them to be able to affect. You may not think it, but it spreads. And we'll kind of go over and talk about that stuff tonight, because those are the conversations we should be having. So that's what we're going to do tonight. So going into the whole thing, Debz, we have New Year's coming up here, and I put in the title New Year's Energy because I thought that was important, especially being in this season, this family season of giving. We get into Christmas, and then we get into the New Year's, where you make these resolutions where everybody wants to be better on the other side of that New Year's ball drop. And you know, let's get into that. Like, what if we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions and energies and how we can position ourselves to be in the best possible spot, what would be some of the things that we would talk about there?
Well, for me, it's about not just making some arbitrary resolution that you've probably made 5,000 times before and probably never kept. It's about really going inside and asking yourself, who am I and who do I want to be? And, it takes a while. You have to really take some time and be quiet and just ask that question and then shut up and let the higher self talk to you, right? Let your soul talk to you. It might talk in pictures. It might talk in voice. You might get an inspiration, but it does come. And if you get just even a twinkling of that, of who you might want to start to be, then it's a good idea to do some sort of visioning process. For me, I've done this for decades, but I teach a vision board type thing. But I use the concepts of feng shui. So it's 9 different areas or archetypes of your personality that you're working on. And you just, put pictures of how you want to look or what you want to manifest in those areas of your life, like abundance, like health, like family, like creativity, and so forth. It doesn't really matter how you do it, but it matters that you do it. But do it with something that is more concrete than just an abstract thought or telling other people, this is my New Year's resolution. For me, I make this board every year with my students, and I put it right here next to my desk, and I have to look at it every day. And I look at it and I go, oh, wow, I accomplished that, or I'm still working on that. But you have to keep it in the forefront of your mind. So, and then, every day in the morning before you get up, maybe express gratitude for having already put yourself on the road towards that. And maybe for the things you have accomplished that you have. And at night before you go to bed, ask yourself, did I do anything to move myself forward, to move the needle forward on that? And it doesn't have to be about losing weight or, getting that better job. It's more about how can I develop my soul? Because if you develop your soul, your spirit, in a positive forward movement, then everything else starts to fall in place. So that's what I like to talk about with people. And the process that I do is working with energy. We do a lot of stuff before we do put the stuff on the board to help you get to that place where you actually know what it is you want, because most people don't really. So they do. They come up with like, oh, I want to up my pay $10,000 this year, or I want to get a new car or something. And those are good, desires. But what do you want to be? Like, who do you want to be? And how do you want to be that? That's the important stuff for me.
I really like that. And what I've done, and I've moved my studio into an office building, so I don't have all my little things around. But things that I normally consider doing and have done would be take little Post-it notes and sticking them on. I put one on my camera to kind of say smile or energy, or and just little notes around the house to remind me to focus on a particular thing. And because if I don't do that, then I'm lost, is what I'm saying.
Right. And those are great methods. Keep it in the forefront of your mind. And most of us as humans are very visual. So putting visual reminders everywhere is a big help. But, you and I have talked about this before. Consciousness and evolving in consciousness, even manifesting physical things, it's all about your focusing your energy, focusing, your mind, and focusing the way you feel about it. So you have to kind of remind yourself, how would it feel to be the person I want to become? And you have to just kind of keep drenching yourself with those feelings, So it helps to go into a meditative state or journal, or, do a vision board, or like you write Post-it notes about what it is you want to become, and then feel it. Feel what it would feel like to be that, as to your best of your ability. And the more you do it, the more you draw yourself to it.
You know, Debs, I've had, on my own channel, I've done this show. The year is coming to an end, and I felt really frustrated with just humanity and just like the energy around where we're going, our path forward. And I was disheartened by some things that took place this year. The energy level went down. There was a lot of which I pointed out in my show, which I'll say here, a lot of bad energy tied to things like racism and sexism and all sorts of just nasty things
Negative
happened this year. And I found myself like I said I need to do a show about this, and it was more like therapeutic for me to come, because my mission is moving the needle forward for humanity in a positive nature. We are all one, and there were just things this year that happened that brought my frequency down a little bit. I don't know if you felt that this year, but coming into the end of this year, like what would be some things people who may have felt like that? What are some things they could focus on to kind of boost their morale, bring their energy back up?
Sure. Well, I'm just like all of you. I'm still walking around in a human spacesuit, and it is wired to respond, dare I say, usually react to what's going on around me and the energy that's going on around me. It's really hard to not get distracted by that and get pulled into that whirlpool, right? So I have felt that many times this year. I'm only human is the saying, but you're more than human. And we have to remember that. You are an unlimited, infinite being squashed into this little package that is kind of, has a limited scope in this place. So the way there are many paths up that mountain that you're talking about of raising your vibration, but I would say do the thing that is easiest and best for you, the thing that's most enjoyable. So for me, it's breath work and yoga and meditation and doing, sound technology, mantra or singing or teaching. But it also can be something and definitely being in nature, no matter what the weather, gotta have it. But other things like being of service to others. If nothing else, if you really feel like you're down in the dumps, get quiet, get still, and just, use your imagination, daydream. Try to bring up a memory of when you felt really good, of when the world felt good. It might have been as far back as when you were a little kid, or it might have been just 2 hours ago. But bring it up, give yourself all the sensory information you can give it. Like, what did it really feel like? Were there smells? Were there sounds, colors, textures? Were there other people? What was the light like? And really feel it, and relive it. Remember that the human brain does not designate, doesn't even understand past or future. Everything is in the now. It's very literal. So if you bring yourself into a memory that feels good and you put it into your body and feel it in your body, then your brain's going to go, oh, we're in that experience. And then you start feeling better. The vibrational state comes up, and then you feel even better. And it starts that upward spiral instead of the downward whirlpool.
Yeah, that's great advice. And thank you for your support tonight, W. Decker, and your awesome message.
Oh, yeah.
You're always awesome. But that, I think I said this since the last time we talked. I forget who I was talking to when I said this, but it feels like the conscious side of ufology, the spiritual side, is more of could almost take the place of therapy in a way where it's because it's all about using tools like you just said right there, and
Right.
just that advice right there, I'm sure anybody else did, because it just helped me in this moment. And that's what I'm saying is,
Oh,
but I can say that it could, I know if it helped me in that way, that it would definitely affect other people the same way. And I feel like, the consciousness side of ufology is like that therapy side we're going to need once we hit disclosure and
oh
we
yeah.
have all these new ideals. We're going to lean on people like yourself and others in this field to kind of raise the vibration back up, because it's
Yeah.
going to go down once the realization hits, but we're going to need you guys to help us bring it back up. And that's why I love having you on the show, and will forever. I'll have you on every day, every week, whatever we need to do.
You.
But it's all about raising the frequency and the vibration.
Mhm.
Everything else comes secondary for me. You know what I mean?
Yes, and you're very wise to say that, and thank you for saying it out loud on this show. And it's what I want to underscore for our listeners. That is primary. That is the key. You must become more and more consciously self-aware. Be aware of what you're feeling, where you're feeling it, and why you're feeling it. And if it's something that you don't prefer, if it's something that is bringing you down or causing you obstacles, find your thing. Like I said, mine's breath work and yoga and all that. But maybe yours is getting your guitar off the wall and playing your guitar, or, playing with your baby, or, taking your puppy for a walk. Whatever that is, do that and really be conscious while you're doing it. And it will raise your vibrational state. And remember, quantum physics teaches us that two non-resonant energies cannot exist. It can't cohabit in the same space. They're repellent to each other. So if you have a very high vibrational state, then the stuff that's going on around you is still going to go on around you, but it's not going to affect you. You'll still be able to perceive it, and you might be able to help it raise itself by transmitting what you're doing for yourself. You can envision that too. Just walk around. If you see the world's going to hell in a handbasket, walk around and just be like those, what were those little cartoon things? Like Care Bears. They had a big heart right here, and they would like send out rays of light.
Yeah.
That was a very powerful analogy. That's a great metaphor. Sending out love to everyone, including and especially those you find despicable, evil, or harmful, because they're that way for some reason. They have pain, or they have underneath it all, they have fear of something. So send the love out to everyone. That'll raise your vibrational state.
You just blew my mind with that, Debz, because that is a great analogy. And it now that I think about it, that they were repelling the gloomy, the dark clouds, the rain and the darkness. And that is all. Oh man, that is so awesome. I have to go back now and rewatch the Care Bears. It was the Care Bear stare, is what they used to do, and they used to put all the powers together to fight against those low vibration energies. Wow, that is powerful, very powerful. And then you said another thing, which is like the two energies are repellent to each other. So, so I could envision someone who is consumed with a lower vibrational energy, that being, it can't coexist with the higher. So one has to give, one has to go. And so you remove the negative through the methods that you just went over and replace it with that. So, okay, we're off to a great start tonight. I love that. I love that. So what I want to do also, because I know you have, and I'll say this too, we've talked before, you've graciously invited me in to do some sessions, which I still need to do, Debz.
Yes, you do.
I haven't had the time, but I really still want to take you up on those sessions if that offer is still on the table.
Of course, it stands forever. You do it when the time is right for you.
Awesome. Okay. So what I want to do, because a lot of people may not know that you're frequently involved in seminars, I guess we would call that.
Mhm.
I wanna-
Conferences and retreats.
Let me bring I want to bring this up real quick so you can kind of talk to it real quick here. And let's see. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I always have trouble bringing stuff up on mine. That's so funny. Yeah, this is something I'm super excited about. This is one of the biggest things I've ever been involved in this work, and it's the Contact Modalities Expo. It's the very first one. It's going to be held May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in 2025 in South Central Wisconsin. And we have some very big names coming. And the reason why we're calling it the Contact Modalities Expo is our friend Ray Hernandez, and I don't know if you know who he is, but he has put together, I think it's either 4 or 5 huge volumes of books by the Free Association, which used to be the Edgar Mitchell Society, the Noetic Society, and it evolved into this with lots of neuroscientists, PhD psychologists, researchers, taking in thousands and thousands and thousands of surveys of people just like you and I, all over the country, all over the world, regarding their contact experiences. And at first it was just ET contact or UFO sightings. And then it grew because Ray realized contact is not just about ETs. Anything you can think of that isn't human, what you would call paranormal, is still consciousness. So whether it's ghosts or fairies or psychic phenomenon, ETs, cryptids, all of these things are consciousness. They're just versions of consciousness. So he came up with this term, contact modalities, where he's now studying people from all different walks of life who have had different experiences or who can help people have them. So for instance, all the people you see here on this poster, Jimmy Church is going to be our host. We're really grateful for him. Paula Harris, probably the most esteemed UFO researcher still living. She worked with J. Allen Hynek, I believe, for many, many years. Chris Bledsoe, who is now becoming very famous after many years of taking a lot of flack for saying what he believed with orbs and UFOs and the person he calls the lady. He's going to be our keynote speaker. Julie Adriani, who is a psychic medium, but she's a physical medium. She literally causes things to come through in a seance and are gifts. I even have one right here, something that came through. I have this stone that came through for me that she says came from the Ashtar Command, and it's helping me with my work. Who else do we have? We've got a lot of great police. Kimberly Porth, one of my best friends ever, and one of the most capable, experienced CE5 Skywatch leaders ever, is going to be leading the Skywatch. So we just have a lot of different people. There are people who are Bigfoot, Sasquatch hunters, cryptid hunters. We've got Gary Osborne, super esteemed scientist, Adam Apollo.
Hold
Yes.
right there, Debz. We got 10 seconds before we go on a break. We'll
Okay.
pick this up on the other side of the break.
Great.
Guys, don't go anywhere. It's an awesome show, awesome start. We're already 30 minutes in with our guest for the night, Debz Shakti. It is going to be that type of night tonight. So get your popcorn, get ready. Don't go too far, and then come back for the second half of hour number 1 right here on the Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. All right, we are clear. So once again, this is 5 minutes, Debs. If you have anything that you need to do, you could go ahead and do that.
I sure will. Thanks.
Yep. All right, guys. Pause. All right, guys. Yeah, it's going to be an awesome show tonight. It's going to be awesome. How you guys feeling out there? TETs. Thanks for coming in. Let's see. Carol Amerio. Thank you for showing up tonight. Appreciate you. Ange, I see you out there. Thanks for coming in. Once again, Wes Decker, appreciate your support tonight. You are always awesome. Appreciate you. Let's see. Carl Bittner is out there. Let's see. Chronicles of Still Waters. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate you. Let's see, moving back here. Anybody else that we may have missed? Space. Well, you see you out there, Space. Thanks for coming in. Jack. And other characters that I can't see here, so I'll just bring you up. Namaste. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming in. Let's see, who else do we have? Wayne. I see Wayne out there saying good evening, Mr. Raji. Good evening, Wayne. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you. Tim James. Without sounding cliche, soul is our foundation. And if you don't have a solid foundation, well, yeah, we do. Tim James, and you're right on it. Appreciate you. Mike Rivers. I heard the FBI is shaking up. LOL. Yeah, they probably are. I'm sure they are with all this going on here. Thanks for coming on in. Let's see. Frankie B. Congratulations, Space Out Radio, for 10 years of broadcasting with excellent quality and great content. We appreciate you, Frankie B. Who else? J True Seeker. I don't know if I said your name before, but thanks for coming in, J True Seeker. We appreciate you showing up tonight, and I think that might be it. Let's see. I think I did say Carol Amerio. If not, hey, Carol Amerio, thanks for coming in. Frankie B says, shh, I'm hiding from Rob. You don't hide from Rob. Don't hide from Rob, Frankie B. LOL, I tried. Oh, funny. You guys are funny. Debz is the best. I agree.
Oh.
I agree. I also agree with Tim James. Super energy start to the show. Can feel it building some momentum. Look, these are the conversations that you have to have, Tim James, and you can feel the positivity. You can really feel it radiating from the show, and I love that. Wes Decker, the people who trigger me are some of my best teachers, and I try to remember to be thankful for them. Awesome, Wes Decker. I love it.
So important.
Drew Banky says humanity has been working on this moment for over 500,000 years. We are at that moment. Agreed, Drew Banky. All right, we have about 30 seconds so we come back from break. TET says, when I see people in gloom, I tell jokes. I know so many. Not all of us have that gift, TETs, but I love it. 5 seconds. Here we go. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. We are back in conversation with our guest for the night, Debz Shakti. Always bringing awesome energy. Totally love when she's here. As we go ahead and get ready to jump back into the conversation. But first, space travelers, you're already traveling space. Consider taking the next step and join the club. You can join our Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers Club for as little as $5 buckaroonies a month by joining our Patreon. We would appreciate you. As we get back into the conversation, so Debz, you're in the middle of going over some of the guests that you're having at the expo coming up.
Right. I wanted to mention too, Wendy Gallant, who is, her contact modality is literally learning to see without your eyes. And it's far more intense than even remote viewing or OBE's practice. She's literally teaching blind people how to see without their eyes. It's an incredible modality, but you have to go through the heart instead of the mind and the eyes. And there'll be little me up there a couple of days. I'm going to be, I'll be introducing and kind of emceeing the screening of our film that we made with John Yost a couple years ago, Alien Abduction Answers, and talking about that. Because Ray Hernandez, the person I was talking to you about at the beginning, has just finished or is finishing up his movie on the contact modalities, which was really the second movie that John and I were going to make, and Ray just took it and did it on his own, and it's going to be beautiful, but it's not going to be ready to screen by that time. So we'll show our film. But one day I'm going to, for the very first time in the 40 plus years of my hypnotherapy practice, I'm going to do a live on stage quantum hypnosis session with a special guest, and we're going to blow everybody's minds. I've never, ever had another person in the room when I've done quantum hypnosis other than my client. This is a big step for me. But the star teachers who are my guides told me it's time that everyone experience this. So we're going to do that live on stage. And then on another day, one of the other days, I'm going to actually have a live star teacher channeling event where the audience will be able to talk to the star teachers, ask questions, and they're going to get answers, and they'll have a very unique experience, because it's not just a question and answer thing, as you may know. It's also an energetic upgrade for people. Healing, all kinds of stuff happens in these sessions. So that's going to be my part of that expo, and I'm just going to be so happy to be with all these people. Some of them are my heroes, some of them are my best friends, and they're all great presenters. So I encourage everybody to come. There's an early bird special right now, I think until the end of this month, where you get a big discount. So, thank you. My goodness. You've done your homework, my fellow. So thank you. So I encourage everybody to get in, because there is limited space for this. This is our first year, but it's going to be an amazing year. So yeah, thank you for letting me talk about it.
No, definitely. It's very important. In any of you who are in the area, for sure, definitely make sure that you're there. Mm-hmm. And like I say, it's just, for me, I'm way over in California. That's the only thing that stops me from going. If it was close enough, I would get there for sure. So someone can go and I can live through you, someone who's in the vicinity. Definitely make sure you go and attend. Because as she just stated, the list of guests there are pretty awesome here. A lot of people that you've seen and followed within ufology, and it's definitely a good thing to have all those people in one place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do
good.
want, I would like to say, just to interject, that Melissa Kane is the person who is putting this on. She is the person who so graciously and for free gave us her resort in northern Wisconsin to film most of Alien Abduction Answers. She
Uh,
is one of my very best friends, and she also hosts, we host together that big retreat in August, September every year, the Contact Modalities retreat, where we have the big sky watches and everything. So I just wanted to give her a shout out. Thank you, Melissa, because you are freaking amazing to put this together.
so let me ask you this: looking when being that your focus is in spirituality, when you look around and obviously we talked earlier about weird things that happened this year, but just overall, do you see any progression like year over year? Do you see more people that may have not been open to tapping into their personal energies? Do you find that more people are doing that now?
You know what? I find that the media likes to perpetuate that an awful lot. And so that's what we think we're seeing more of. But it's always been there. But there's a balance. This is a dualistic construct that we live in. And so there's something in neuroscience and psychology that I like to talk to people about, and it's confirmation bias. Have you ever heard this term?
Yes.
Confirmation bias. So really what confirmation bias is, again, the brain doesn't know from imagination or like an immediate thing happening or something happening in the past. If you are thinking about it, it wants to give you more reinforcement of what you're thinking to keep building that reality. So for instance, if a person decides they're going to buy a red Ferrari and they've saved up for 20 years, they finally get enough money to buy a red Ferrari. They hardly ever see one on the road because they're so rare and so expensive. They buy that red Ferrari and suddenly everyone on the highway seems to be driving a red Ferrari. Why is that? There aren't more people suddenly driving it. They're just the confirmation bias of your consciousness is pulling in more of what you prefer to reinforce that and keep that going, that momentum going until you decide you want something else. So it works the other way as well, sadly, unless we're very conscious and pay attention to what is happening inside ourselves, how we're feeling. If you subject yourself to a lot of outside, information all the time, and you don't spend enough time inside, your confirmation bias is going to go towards what you're paying attention to. And you know this, social media, television, movies, publications, everything is always trying to get you to talk or to give you information about the stuff that's going wrong. Why is that? Because it's easier to control you if you're in fear. Simple. And so you see a lot of it, but the more you pay attention to it, the more you have to pay attention to. It didn't grow. It's always been that way. But now your confirmation bias is pointing out, oh, here's more of that horrible stuff that's happening. Don't you feel bad about it? So it's incumbent upon all of us, especially those of us who are in this community. For instance, if you want disclosure, stop, I hate to say this, but stop pointing fingers at who did what to whom to keep us from having disclosure. Start paying attention to the people who actually are having disclosure or are disclosing, and disclose yourself. If you've had an encounter, be public about it. Don't be afraid. Stay out of fear. If your jam is, helping the poor, then don't get all pulled down by how horrible poverty is. Get risen up and rise other people up by helping the poor in whatever way you can, even if it's just, handing out gloves in the winter to people on the streets who are homeless. So it's easy to get pulled down because we as a society have become very in love with our technology. And those who want to stay in power are very, very savvy about how addictive it is to feed you what they want you to see so that they can control you with fear. Now, I'm not saying that stuff doesn't exist, but I'm saying don't be afraid of it. Remember, you are an unlimited spiritual being and you're infinitely capable. And so just keep being the best person you can be and teach other people how to do it. For instance, if you've finally gotten into your practice how to feel better when you're not feeling well with some of the things I talked about earlier, or people can go to my website and look at, I've got a ton of tutorials on there about this stuff for free. Do something to raise your vibrational state and it radiates out, and your confirmation bias is going to start showing you, oh, here's another person doing that. Here's another person doing good. Here's another government doing good. Here are some religious people doing good. You know, it's all about you. It's always all about you. It starts here first and here.
Let me ask you this also then. The topic of spirituality, do you think that it could be just like we talked about with the Care Bears being like a perfect tool to use to kind of get this message to children, right? Do
Right.
you think there's a way? I mean, do you think, first of all, that there would be anything wrong with implementing these teachings and practices into like the school system, right?
Oh,
What do you
no.
think about that?
I have fought for decades and decades and decades to get more of it in the schools. You know, there was a time, Rob, when I was teaching this stuff full time in yoga studios and wellness centers. I had my own wellness center, and I would go to all the schools and say, I will teach for free if you'll just, you know, get the kids into the auditorium or into the gym. And they were absolutely against it. They were like, no, we don't do that here. Over the years, it started slowly being acceptable, and now it's really starting to catch on. We need a lot more people teaching these things to children. But I encourage all of you as parents, as brothers and sisters, even as, you know, aunts and uncles or friends of a family who have a small child or small children, get to them and make it a game. Make it fun, make it playful, and teach them, you know, you know, are you feeling anxious about the test in school tomorrow? Let me show you how to get yourself calm. And you teach them a little tiny, you know, 4 breath in, 4 breath out, 4 counts in, 4 counts out breath work for about 3 minutes. And suddenly they're completely shifted. They feel good. And in that moment, you can also give them encouragement with some affirmations about life. And that's just planting a little seed. But yes, we need it in the schools desperately now more than ever before. It's not about dogma. A lot of people seem to think this comes from religion, and it is absolutely not religion. All the things I'm talking about are really spiritual technology. They're a science passed down, I believe, pre-human ancestors. And I think you know who I'm talking about. So it's time to revive that and bring that up. But yes, I'm right there with you. If you can get me in more schools, I will go.
Yeah, you know, because when I think about that, I look at when do they actually, if ever, have they actually tried that in a school? And I find that more so you get a lot of it in like preschool and kindergarten, where they teach you like you're learning the basics of communicating and you know, having relationships in the world. Is kind of where they're teaching you the bare basics, which are kind of tools that are taught within the spirituality, like be kind to others, the golden rule, you know what I mean? Things like that. But then it starts to go away from that in the later years of school. And I think what they do is they use these public service announcements, which pertain to like, you know, I guess real life situations for a teen or for a child. But I think it could be done in a different way. that's more receptive, because I think they think on the face of it, because it depicts a real life situation that a child might go through, that a
Right.
child is going to automatically identify and understand it and get it. But I think
Right.
it could be positioned and packaged a lot differently.
Right. It has to be framed within the construct of the kid's reality, for one thing. It's one thing to give all these lofty concepts to a person, but if it doesn't apply to their, daily life, then and to their abilities, then it's just heady stuff that filters away as soon as the teacher leaves the classroom. So you want to give them some kind, and this goes for everybody, not just children, but children are like little sponges. They're so easy to give this to. You have to get them into, again, a raised vibrational state, something that makes them feel happy or playful or loving or excited. And what do we do? I don't mean to disrespect our school systems, but what do we do most of the day during school with children? Sit down, be quiet, listen to the teacher, read this chapter, do this activity, get in line. It's all this structure, and children were not meant for that. It needs to be more organic. So even if you can give them a tiny little, like a yoga snack, or a breathwork snack, or a jumping up and down and ecstatic dance, wild dance party snack to raise their vibrational state, and then tell them why you're doing it, which is to help them be better people, it sticks and it makes a lot of sense to them. And then you show them how they can use that in their own home life. You're changing the world. And bless all the people who are homeschooling their kids, because they get it. They've gotten it for years, and they incorporate that play. Play is meditation, pure and simple.
I'm just thinking of a way and maybe it's something you've thought about doing, or you've done, or you're doing currently. We just don't know about it, but a way to implement, because on the face of it, with the stigma, I could see how 20 years ago the school system was like, oh, we don't want anything to do with that.
Mm.
That's religious. You're trying to bring religion into the schools and things like that. But now that it's more accepted, what if you wrote a book? Like, what if you wrote a book that kind of allowed you to have that communication, something that could be put into the schools as part of the curriculum, you know what I mean? And then maybe once it gets accepted, then have teachers who specialize in that to come in and teach the subject to kids. I think that might be a way to kind of break in and get in there and kind of, depending on how the book is framed and how the book is positioned.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and you can do that pretty easily. And there are books out there for children. I have several. My students are always gifting me books on yoga and meditation and all that. There are some children's books that are really well written for that, like storybooks, they're like a story, but they're teaching. But we just have to keep trying. And that's my advice to everybody who's on board with this, listening today or at any time. Keep trying, because it's really hard to get on the curriculum in a school system. It's very rigid now. It's going to become more rigid, I think. But don't give up. Go in with your ideas, and, or if you do teach things like this, or you want to share, go in with armed with, how can this benefit you and the teachers in the classroom? How can this benefit the parents when they go home? Their kid's going to be more calm. Their brain's going to work better. They're not going to be hyperactive, and they're going to be smarter, and they're going to care for each other more instead of fighting all the time or causing a tussle. So you have to go in armed with those little bits of positive ammunition, the benefits, and, work your way in. It can be done. I've done it for years, but it takes a lot of talking sometimes.
And you just named all pluses to where it's like, why wouldn't you do this? And then I'm thinking further on it, and I'm like, okay, Yeah, it's if the curriculum's hard to get it, they one thing they do listen to the school board or school district is the parents. So maybe that's
Yes.
the avenue to go through. Maybe we
Yes.
get them the books, get them to understand how important these books are, and then get them to also fight to get it put into the curriculum. Maybe that's a way to go about it.
Right. I have been guest at several, like PTA meetings or, uh, parent teacher in-service things where they want me to discuss, what I do and how, how can I help you relax after a hard day's work, after you've cooked dinner and you have to fight your kid to do homework? How can I help you all relax enough to have some decent time before you go to bed and improve your relationship? Let me teach you a few quick things, and you just put them through it in that meeting, and they feel so much better in that meeting. They go home, they're like, oh, there's something to this stuff. So you're right, getting at the parents and the teachers before you go in trying to get the superintendent is a great deal. Now, again, nothing against school superintendents. One of my best friends is a school superintendent and is a great yogi and a very spiritual person and has me come in all the time. So they do exist. But, start at ground zero. Start with yourself, then go after, the people who will influence these little children. And
Yeah.
we can get it done.
Yeah, because I'm looking around where I'm living out here in Bakersfield. It's different out here because I think back when I was in school, and even after I was in school, homework was a big part of school. And like you said, the structured first period, second period, where you have on this, you have to juggle so many different things at once, and it's just a lot on your plate. Whereas out here currently, kids don't take homework. They don't have homework here in Bakersfield. So
wow, that's awesome.
That's what I said. I said I'm looking all the way from elementary all the way up through high school, and there isn't a such thing as homework here. It's work that's done at school, and if it isn't done there, they don't burden them with it once they go to their home lives, because a lot of home lives don't allow for that type of focus, right? To be able to sit down and focus on problems and problem solving and things of that nature. So it just shows me that there are school systems out there that are open to doing things out of the norm, doing things differently.
Yes.
And
I think our school systems are evolving in that way. I think we are all evolving in that way. But again, the mainstream media, social media, a lot of this stuff is geared to keeping you in the dark or geared to keeping you feeling in that us versus them fear state. And so you don't see a lot of this stuff gets squelched. I can tell you every single day of my life, great things have happened and I've met great people. I meet beautiful people every single day. And it's not just in my work, it's out in the world. Why? It's because I refuse to only look at what's wrong. So, and I affirm what's right. If I'm in the grocery store and the poor overworked cashier is still smiling and calling everybody sweetheart when she's working her ass off, I tell her, thank you so much for having such a positive attitude and a beautiful smile. You just made my day. And oh my gosh, do they light up? And that might last for the rest of the day. It's simple things like that we can all do that will change the world for the better.
And you just gave me a call to action. There's I'll actually talk about it. We're about to go to break again. Call to action. I got to remember that. So, guys, don't go anywhere. Awesome conversation so far. We're already at the end of the first hour right here on the Spaced Out Radio After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G, and our guest, the awesome Debz Shakti. Guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 5 minutes.
Conversations that move the needle.
Conversations that move the needle.
You're listening to After Hours with Mr. Rob G on the only place where you can own the night. Spaced Out Radio.
Spaced Out Radio. You've tuned your dial to the right frequency.
All right, we're off camera for 5 minutes, Deb. See you in a minute.
Okay, thanks.
All right. All right, everyone. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show. After hour number 2, we have about 30 seconds left when we come back from radio. Remember, this is the time to put your questions in the chat. Put them in gaps. Anything you want to ask Debz Shakti, please go ahead and put them in gaps, and we'll tag as many of them as we can and ask them on the back half of the hour. Would appreciate you. 15 seconds to go. And Richard Minnick, thanks for your support of Spaced Out Radio, saying, what's up, SOR? What's up? Right back to you, Richard. Welcome back to everyone to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours Radio Show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. Back with our guest, Debz Shakti. We're having an awesome conversation tonight. If you missed any of it, make sure you hop back in our archives, which are absolutely free, by the way. YouTube.com/at Spaced Out Radio. Catch up on anything that you have missed as we go ahead and jump into the conversation. So, yes, and thank you for putting that out there, Tamad, man. You can find Debz over at debzshakti.com. Tamad, man, is always on top of it, and we appreciate you, sir.
Thanks, Tim Mothman.
So getting into, okay, so we're in hour 2. So there were some things that people may not understand about quantum hypnotherapy. They've heard of hypnotherapy, but maybe not quantum hypnotherapy. Are you able to talk about what the differences are between the two?
Yes. I started out doing clinical hypnotherapy back in the, late 70s, I guess, mid to late 70s. But I was born with a lot of other gifts and a lot of other interests, as you know. I was born very psychic, born able to work with energy and perceive energy and things like that. And then also, from age 13 on, I was a yogi and a yoga teacher and a meditation teacher, all of this stuff. And so when I was, going through my clinical psychology education, I quickly realized and was counseled by my mentor, who was the director of the program, PhD program at the university where I was. He's like, you're doing awesome work, but a lot of this stuff isn't allowed under the auspices of the APA. So you're going to have to leave that out of your sessions. You have to stick to, traditional methods of psychotherapy and hypnotherapy, and you can't cross those boundaries. Either that, or you can go rogue and put everything together. And then they just stared at me, which, we were good friends by that time, and I took it to mean he was encouraging me to just take everything I have and come up with my own modality, to use that word again. So what quantum hypnotherapy is, I am educated in traditional clinical hypnotherapy and was doing really well with it already. But what quantum hypnotherapy does is it gives the client, it empowers them by giving them, I give them homework before they ever come into the session. They have to learn and do some specific types of breath work, some sound technology using their voice, and doing some guided meditation for at least a week, if not longer. It's preferably to do it longer before you ever come into the session. Why? Because it enhances your internal cosmic satellite dish that connects you with, it's a streaming device that connects you with the quantum field. It's called your pineal gland. It's a little tiny gland in the top center of your head. And when you do certain things, this is why these ancient practices have been passed down. I still say they are pre-human, but we definitely know they've been passed down for tens of thousands of years. And they work beautifully. In fact, I think they work better now for me than they did when I was 13. So I have my clients do a certain process. I call it the quantum consciousness process before they ever come into the session. So they're primed. and they're ready, they're open, they're all ready to stream, and they're relaxed. And all I do is get them relaxed, guide them through kind of the opening of the streaming process, and then they can go into the quantum field or the cosmic mind or the mind of God, whatever you want to call it, their past lives or future lives. None of them are past or future. They all, as you know, happen all at once forever in the same spot. That's what quantum physics teaches us. But for most people's brains to get their minds around it, to go into these alternate and infinite life realities that we all live. Because again, quantum physics says there's not just one version of you, there are infinite versions of you doing infinite versions of things in different universes. So that's what we do. We don't just look at what happened in your childhood through hypnosis, although we could, if you want to. We did with John Yost. That's how he came up with his movie, because his experience was in this life as a child. But what happens is you start to go into these other life realities that you may have never been aware of, but you go to exactly the ones that you're meant to go to. You're guided by your higher self and by me to go to where is the most appropriate time and place to gather the experience and the information that you need to help you with what's going on in this life. And so, I get a lot of people, because I do have this huge, ET connection I have ever since I was born. I do get a lot of ET experiencers who come to me, and we use quantum hypnosis to go in and look at their experiences. Or maybe they say, I feel like I should be having them, but I don't remember anything, or I had a dream. It was kind of amorphous. I wish I knew more. We can go right in there and you see it clearly and fully and bring it back into this life. And it's very life-changing. We have some people in the chat who actually have been through this process with me. I'm not going to identify them. They can if they want to, but they will tell you it's life-changing. But it can be used for anything. But that's the difference. It empowers you to be able to access the stream of universal consciousness, if you will. And what's really cool is I teach you how to do this in the session so that you don't need me anymore if you don't want to. Some people do like to have a guide, but you can use this for the rest of your life. It's an education. It's a tool that I give people. So that's the difference between that and clinical hypnosis, which is more passive. You're still speaking the experience to the practitioner, but it's not multidimensional like this is.
Okay, and one thing I was thinking about is, okay, within this field of ufology, a lot of people can understand where this practice applies and is helpful. We can also see how it's helpful in other areas of life, just even outside of ufology. So the question I would have is, obviously the referrals would definitely come from within the community, but where do you find most that referrals come from outside of this community, like people that don't have anything to do with ufology, don't know anything about it? Like, what type of not really walks of life, but I guess situations do you find referrals coming from outside of ufology?
Oh, yeah. Well, I started out doing the same things everybody else does, people who wanted to quit smoking or lose weight or overcome abuse, trauma. I get a lot of PTSD people. I get a lot of ex-military. But it's for anything, for healing. People want to understand, why am I manifesting this disease in my body, and yet I've always taken good care of my body and I've always been a good person. Why me? So we can go in there and find out. There's always some reason for it. It's always a good reason, but it's hard to see from just this narrow point of view that you're looking at from this physical little spacesuit through this visor. When we can go and zoom out into the quantum field and see it from where it where we see the big picture, it makes so much sense, and there's a lot of healing. But to answer your question, I get most of my clients come by referrals from other clients. I don't advertise a whole lot unless I'm, like this week I advertised once a year. I have an annual gratitude special where all of my services, everything I do is on special pricing. So anybody can do it for about a month. But other than that, every once in a while, I'll say, hey, this is what I do on social media, but I don't advertise. I don't, I'm not affiliated with a bunch of associations. I never wanted to do that. I just wanted to do my own thing. Once you're in an association, then, it's like your homeowners association. You have to paint your house a certain color and, have a certain kind of fence. So I want my work to be completely and constantly evolving. And it is every day. So referrals is how I get it. And, it's interesting. I'll bump into somebody, at the hairdresser's it just comes up. It's weird. It's like, again, it's that harmonic resonance of the vibrational state. If somebody is in need and I have something that they need, they'll just start talking about it and say, I know I probably should go to therapy or should get a hypnotherapist or whatever, and be like, well, I'm one, let me tell you what I do. And boom, there you go.
Wow, man. And it's so effective. And that's the thing. When we talk about, if you have a loved one, right, that is for some reason tuned into low vibrational energy, just for whatever reason, and you want to help them release that and get away from it, is that just where the referral would come in? Say, hey, I have somebody that you could talk to, Debz Shakti.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, people buy gifts for their loved ones all the time. And those are always so much fun because a lot of the time that person doesn't even want to come to the session, but they don't want to hurt their loved one's feelings. So they will upfront say, I don't believe in this. And John Yost was one of them. I don't believe in this. I don't think I can ever be hypnotized. And I don't believe in any of this stuff. I'm not even into it, but I'll give it a try. And those are the ones who usually have the most mind-boggling, heart-opening experiences of all. It's just amazing.
Let me ask you this as well. When we talk about, when a lot of people talk about extraterrestrials, I can't say because I haven't met one, so I don't know, but people have this idea that they are so enlightened that they essentially are, at this super high frequency, and they never have moments where they have low frequency. Do you think that they are just that they can totally get away from low vibrational energies? Do you think that that's something that would, I guess, in some people's eyes, make them and why people kind of raise them to this higher height and look at them as superior beings because they don't dwell down with the low frequencies? Or do you think you'll find, if we were to get to know some extraterrestrials, that you'd find out, hey, they have things too that they deal with and kind of are going through? What do you think? Sure.
Everyone has stuff in all of creation. I don't care how high you go. I mean, whether it's an ET civilization, it's an ET person, it's a spirit. I mean, take like in the Christian Bible, for instance, Jesus Christ himself got mad and tore some people up in the market one time because they were cheating others. He got fed up with being constantly hounded by his followers, so he went out to the desert for 40 days and 40 nights, and that's supposed to be like the Son of God. So, the highest of the high. We all have our stuff. And why is that? Because the stuff that triggers us or that is painful to us, they're mile markers. They're signs pointing to things that where you're starting to need to evolve, or where your higher self wants you to evolve. So they're signposts. They're good. They're not to be feared. You know, it's hard to not get, stuck in the tar pit of negativity, but you can always get yourself out. And that's the key. You always have the rope, and the rope is going up through that pineal gland and out. So with your vibration.
And I just feel like quantum hypnotherapy. I feel like positive energy, and I feel like that's a universal thing. So I think it's something that is useful at every level, just period, from end to end of the universe. That this is a practice that would be helpful to any sort of life form that had understanding, and compassion and morals, that this sort of practice would be something that would be valuable across the board. So, because some people think ETs are just perfect and they figured it all out and they never make mistakes, and they're not subject to low frequency, and I just feel like, if we were to get to know extraterrestrials on that level, that we will find out, once we absorbed everything that they know and we've raised ourselves to their level, then we will find out that there's still other levels to go that they haven't even figured out.
Absolutely. The beings, that group entity that I channel, they're my guides, the star teachers. They say that from day one. They've said they are us on a different frequency. That's all. And that they are barely scratching the surface, even though they're so much more intelligent, I think, and wise than we are, and purified than we are. They say they're just scratching the surface, that there's infinite levels, and it doesn't stop, because life is always evolving, and life is life, right? Susan, always so great. She's talking about the movie we made. She saw that movie and then found me through John Yost and the movie. And she's one of my most unique clients. Thank you for self-identifying, Susan. I didn't want to point fingers at you, but go back and read her comments. She's just an amazing person and had some of the most incredible experiences. And we just helped her refine her memory because she had some missing pieces. And that's good too. That's something else I wanted to tell people. You don't have to feel like you have anything wrong with you to get something out of this process. It's a neat tool to have, and it's a cool experience to have. Periodically, I will do an online group experience where we'll do it. It's an open-ended one. It's more passive, but it's the same process, and you can use it as a wild card for anything. So it's a wonderful tool to have. It's another thing I would love to teach in schools.
Yeah. Because if we're, if the whole goal is the enlightenment of humanity, you got to start at the kids anyway. So, and that's why I talk when I Drew Banky. That's why with Drew, I always tell Drew, you have your kids have a head start because they have enlightened parents and that are connected into this thing already. So they're learning all those bare basic things. So they have a leg up, and it's just going to be a beautiful day. Hopefully within our lifetimes that we get to see that first generation just fully engaged in that, and whether it's through a book, hopefully that happens, where they're teaching this in schools and kind of preparing kids. But the thing is that, and which we already know, is that they do have a system in school, but it's preparing them for something totally different. It's preparing them to kind of suppress their abilities and to lock themselves into this machine, of society, which is horrible, and is a crime against humanity to me. Stepping back and looking at it from the outside, it's like it's all set up to do that. It was set up to do that before you were even born.
Yep.
And it's sad.
Yeah. But we can overcome.
And we will. And we will. And that's why we do these shows, because hopefully, there's more and more people. Obviously, there's the people that we always talk to, But then occasionally I'll see different names in the chat, and I'll always wonder if that's a person who has just come over and is starting to try to understand, the bigger picture when it comes to humanity. I always have that question in my mind, like, is that someone that is brand new to this topic and is really like engaging for the first time? Because if that's the case, then it's evidence of how the message gets spread out there to everybody else, and it just shows that what we're doing is working, like it's really moving forward and moving the needle.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes me happy. I never get the answer because I don't get to ask, but I can assume that there has to be a percentage, that at least a percentage are new to the subject.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure some of these people are brand new to the subject, but I love that because, wow, I was brand new at one point. I remember when I was brand new and my mind was so blown, I didn't know what to do with it all. But it's great. I mean, we're here to learn, right? We're here to grow. We're here to experience, and we're also here to teach. So that's the other thing I admonish my clients. Once you learn this stuff, go out and teach it to somebody else. Just, this isn't my trademark thing. This isn't, I'm not hosting a big school or anything. It's just spread this information. It was given to me by, I believe, beings who are not human, when I was a child. And so maybe you buy that, maybe you don't, but I do know I have been guided my whole life by a lot of different beings who you would call non-local consciousness. So
it makes sense. It makes sense that these extraterrestrials, for whatever reason, have the ability to know who to contact and kind of relay information through them. And it's weird because, when I look back at my own situation and having so many experiences just in this recent time frame, couple years, with the phenomena and these different experiences that open me up to be able to understand that all the rest of this stuff is likely real too. It's like, and it's just like you said, in that first moment when you realize what was going on, and it kind of blew your mind. And then now I'm in a situation where, even though I'm doing this show between 8 and 11 p.m. Pacific, I'm from 11:01 Pacific through the rest of the day and the week. I'm still talking about this to people who don't get it yet, or who are still trying to grasp. Like I'm every day, whenever the conversation allows, I'm doing exactly this same thing.
yes,
You know what I mean? And it's
blessed you for that.
It's mind blowing, but it's. I feel like at times it's like, why am I being shown all this stuff? And why is it? Because whoever is allowing me to have these experiences is wanting me to share these experiences with others. And it's, it kind of feels like a place where there's responsibility behind that. And, I would feel less than if I wasn't out there delivering the message. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, if I kept it bottled in, I'm doing a disservice.
No, precisely. It is a calling, and we all have a calling. And that's what I want to impress upon all of you. Anybody listening to this at any time, you do have a purpose. You are on purpose here, and you do have a calling. And whatever it is that motivates you, that makes you excited or joyful or interested or curious or in a state of wonder, that's the clue as to what it is. Just keep doing things within that little framework and share what you know, or share what you're learning. The best teachers teach while they're learning. So share what you're learning as you're learning, and we'll change this world.
That's what I'm talking about, and that's what this show is all about. Hopefully doing something to move the needle and change the world. right here at Spaced Out Radio After Hours Radio Show. We have Debz Shakti, myself, Mr. Rob G, going deep. We are going into the last half hour of the show, so don't go anywhere. If you do, make sure you come right back. We'll see you in just a minute. All right, we are clear. Awesome stuff, Debz. It's just always awesome, and it's just even awesome tonight. It's just, I just love these. I love these shows. I'm always ready. You know, there's certain people. I talked to Drew about this behind the scenes. There are certain people that we have in our guests that are ones that I really feel like are very important to what's going on. Everybody's voice is important, but like most impactful, and you're like up there on that list. Along, there's other people too that I can lean on, but I'm telling you, every time it's a home run with the energy and the message to get out to the people. That's why I feel so important that your face is on somewhere where you could say something to people all the time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rob, and Drew too. I'm just like in love with you guys, and you just let me be myself. I mean, most of what I've said tonight's probably channeled anyway. I don't even know. I don't remember what I'm saying. You know, it's channeled, but it comes through and it's translated through the education and the practice. So I just appreciate the platform, man. It's awesome. You're doing such good work for humanity. And this is, I know it's a huge sacrifice. So thank you. And by the way, I absolutely love your new background. I know you said something about you didn't have all your stuff, but it's really cool.
Thank you. It's trying to create a mood behind, I look back on all the old shows, and the only thing I was missing, I didn't never think about the background. It was always about what we're doing and the message. But I'm like the aesthetic also helps kind of bring people in. So I appreciate that. I put some thought into it before I set it up. So
I really love it.
Thank you. And I do have a couple questions out there, guys, that you've put forward. I've seen only one in caps. The other one wasn't. So I may have missed some if your other questions weren't in caps. So please make sure that you guys go ahead and put those forward. We'll jump into questions as soon as we come back from the break. To Mothman, didn't get a chance to say what's up to you, sir. I do see you out there. And also, who else is out there? I saw Millennium saying, I love hearing what Debz has to share. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Cat's Tongue as well. Saying Rob G with the spaceship. Hey, Cat's Tongue. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you. Lovey Love or Dr. Love. Thanks for coming on in. We appreciate you showing up tonight. What else are we missing here? Ryan Farrell. Appreciate you showing up.
Love having Ryan. That's great.
Oh, you familiar with Ryan?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Nice. Welcome, Ryan, and appreciate you coming on into the After Hours Radio Show. Debz is awesome. I'm telling you. Anytime you see her, make sure you mark it on your calendar. And I will find time. I have to make the time. I was sitting thinking, I'm like, she gave me that offer and I haven't been able to set enough time aside to do it. And I'm just feeling like I need to do it. So
you'll do it when it's time. And it's been perfect because I've had a lot of stuff going on too, and it would have been hard for us to schedule. So just do it when you feel like it.
Love it. We got Lori Rosenfeld. I'm in the outskirts of the city near the lake in the huge parkland areas. Finding the balance is a moment-to-moment thing. Okay.
Nice. Great.
Let's see.
I know Hillbilly Herb had one about his spirit guides. Let's see.
Oh, got it. I see that question. Yep. Okay, great. Awesome. Awesome. And Susan Alloway, we appreciate you, Rob G. You must share it. It's a call to action you can't deny. That's how I'm feeling, Susan. That is how I'm feeling, and I'm just compelled to do it. I just am. It's that powerful inside of me. It just oh boy, it's hard to explain, but you're absolutely right. And Polly Rotterman, thank you very much. Rob G just wanted to say thank you for all your love and support. You're an amazing soul. You are too, Polly, for sure. Definitely are. Appreciate you. And all right, we're coming back in about 5 seconds here. Get your questions up. Questions coming up right now. Here we go. All right, everybody. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio. We're on after hour 1.5, back half of hour 2. Once again, means we only have about 20 minutes left with our guest here, Debz Shakti, who's always awesome. Guys, remember, if you miss any of tonight's show, you can hop in our archives. They're absolutely free. YouTube.com/@SpacedOutRadio. Make sure you guys go ahead and do that. As we get back into the conversation, we do have questions that have been submitted from our guests or viewers tonight. And let me go ahead and bring up the first one here. All right. So the Andromedan wants to know, what does Deb think of the 8th dimension density? I've never heard.
Well, I think it's wonderful. I don't know if you've been there, but I have. And we all are. Let me just say this, and to the Andromedan and everyone else, we all exist in all dimensions, densities, and frequencies. Each one of those has a version of us, maybe infinite versions of us, if you want to go that far. But the 8th dimension it's kind of what people hold as the gold standard for evolvement, like hitting enlightenment and everything. It is to the point where that we can conceptualize as human beings, maybe. It's kind of the brass ring. It is where we are not physical anymore, unless we choose to put a physical body on or a physical form. But it is the place of light, if you will. And so we can manifest instantly, and people only, because you purify your consciousness or your awareness of consciousness, the higher your focus goes in these densities, in these dimensions, in these frequencies. And so the higher up you're focused, the more purified you are. So you don't have all of this heavy, dense particles of negativity, of karmic patterning, of dualism. It just doesn't exist there. And so it's this kind of this beautiful thing where everybody is co-creating, but nobody steps on anybody's toes, because you can't. By that time, you're so aligned with each other that you couldn't harm another with your actions. So it's a very co-creative, beautiful place. And when we're co-creating in that density, it filters down through them to this one. And that's how we get our inspiration. That's how we get our ideas. That's how we get hope. That's how we get, it's part of the quantum field. That we can visit it any time. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, and then this one comes off of that, and it's actually one that I wanted to know. And maybe you don't have the exact answer. Maybe it's infinite, but Space wants to know, how many dimensions are there?
Infinite. It's infinite. It's all infinite. And I'm very, very sure of that. There is no end to anything nor any beginning. Everything came from the same singularity, little speck of energy. It all came from the same energy. And then when it burst forth, it continues to expand, evolve, and create. So let me just say this, Space. Anytime you make a decision between two or more choices, you create more dimensions, more universes, and more versions of yourself. Because let's say you decided to choose eating a Twinkie instead of an apple. Okay. So the person who's eating the Twinkie, that's you right here, right now, because you chose that. But there's another universe that you just created where that other you is eating the apple. And then it moves on into that life doing many things that might be very different or the same as this one.
And
So,
then if you ate the apple, was it a green apple or a red apple?
yeah. And how did it affect you? Did you have an allergy to apples, or did it like suddenly give you this inspiration to eat more healthily, and then you got on some new path, you know? So you just never know. It's all creating in the moment. And that's what I love about life. It's just so fascinating to me.
So dynamic, exactly. We have Lori Rosenfeld asking, do we each have a unique frequency signature, or does it change with our current vibration?
Lori, that's a great question. And I say yes and no. We do all have, I call it a soul personality signature that we come into all these lives with. We're each unique facets of one being, right? That's at the top of the food chain. There's just one consciousness, one being. And it's like a giant jewel, and we're all different facets looking at the other facets and saying, oh, that's another person and that's another person. But really, it's all just us. But each one of those facets, you, Lori Rosenfield, in this third dimensional human earth life, you have a specific personality, or what you would call a frequency signature, a soul signature. And that kind of reverberates through all of the variations of you, or what we would call at the bottom of everything, the truth of life. But as you move through the different frequencies, the different dimensions, you also take on other characteristics so that you can have a valid experience in that environment. So it can flux, it can change, it can evolve. But yeah, I mean, if you go through and just, if you were to do a bunch of what some people would call regression therapy with the quantum hypnosis or past life stuff, and look at all these other lives, what you would call past or future lives, there's always this kind of common thread that holds them all together, and that's your personality signature.
All right. Awesome. And let's see, Ryan Farrell is asking, I've been having mass contact dreams for a while now. Anyone else?
Yeah, anybody else? I sure have. More than ever before. I've always had them. And let me just say this too, Ryan. Their dreams aren't, separate from you. They're you're glimpsing your other realities. So, or other versions of realities, or you're glimpsing ahead or behind of the reality that you're in right now. There is a huge contingency of people right now having mass contact dreams. And I believe that that's not just a dream. I think that is our collective consciousness starting to come into coherence via our vibrational state, our focus, because we're all talking about ETs and UFOs and UAPs now, and disclosure. We're starting to all kind of come together and align. And so that's what's going to pull that experience in. And that's why everybody's dreaming about it. You're remote viewing it. And it's exciting. It's beautiful. But it'll be very disruptive and confusing too. So that's why we need good people like you out there doing the good work ahead of the game.
Ooh, mass contact dreams. I am hoping and praying for mass contact. I just am. I know it could be detrimental, and we could be in a shaky position, but I think we need to just do it, and just, if it happens, just be ready to embrace it, and let's just get through it, and so we can move on.
You can't change anything until you deconstruct what you have, right? And people are so afraid of change. They're afraid of the unknown. But I'm telling everyone there's nothing to fear. There is never anything to fear. Again, you're an unlimited, eternal being. You can't die. This spacesuit that you've got on, it can discorporate. It can, be corrupted or, turned off. But you still exist. And you just continue to have these experiences. So why does, it can be very scary if you buy into the common, verbiage about everything's falling apart and we have to rebuild it. We have to make it good. We have to shore it up. But stop trying so hard to patch up things that are no longer serving us. It's time to do new things. And we have to allow some of that stuff to fall apart first. So don't get all freaked out about it. Be prepared. Take some good positive action. Make sure that you have the least suffering when it does happen. But it's not going to be an apocalypse the way, the movies always tell us. By the way, do you know that apocalypse means transformation? That's the real that's when you translate it from the Greek, it's means transformation, not destruction.
Wow, that's awesome to know. That is awesome to know. And you said it perfectly. Change has to happen. I mean, it just has to happen. Really, good or bad, change has to happen, and just be ready to embrace it. I love that outlook. Hillbilly Herb is asking, is Debz able to tell me anything about my spirit guides? Thanks.
Well, sure, you have them. I mean, we all have them because they're all other versions of ourselves. They're higher versions of ourselves. But because human beings are so wired to be outward referring, meaning we don't usually believe what I call the voices in my head, right? We don't believe what our souls are telling us. And so we have to hear it from somebody seemingly outside ourselves that is an authority. So one of the best ways we can do that as human beings is to assign that designation to spirit guides. And spirit guides are just higher versions of yourself. So you have them. All you have to do if you want to, be in coherence with them and take advice from them and learn from them is to, again, do some practices that help you raise your vibrational state, and then do something that gets you into a flow state, some place where you can get quiet. A flow state is where you don't pay attention to what your body feels, you don't pay attention to time passing, and you don't pay attention to the outside environment. It's just getting into a state where everything is just kind of flowing easily. And I'm sure you've had that experience, Hillbilly Herb, where you got working on a project or something, you got really into it, and you realized, 10 hours have gone by and you haven't eaten dinner, but you didn't care because it was so compelling. That's what you need to do, is just do whatever it takes to get in that flow state, and then just be quiet and stay open like an observer, and you will get information from your spirit guides. Now, some people get it verbally. Some people get it with, visions or pictures in their minds, or they have a feeling state, or they won't get anything. They'll stop doing what they're doing and walk outside and see the first thing they see is a big billboard that says, take a new road, and it's maybe a travel ad, but that's the thing you were asking, what should I do now? Take a new road, and that's your spirit guides talking to you. So you have really powerful spirit guides, by the way, Herb. So it should be pretty easy to tap in. If you need more help, though, just contact me and I'll help you do it. Okay.
Wow. More awesome stuff. Okay. We got TETs saying, Debz, is it okay to interact with orbs? As Nick Pope said, be careful. He saw my videos and found them fascinating.
TETs, don't listen to anybody who says that it's dangerous to interact with orbs or any other non-local consciousness. And why do I say that? Because it depends on your emotional state, your feeling state, your vibrational state as to what experience you're going to have with other types of consciousness. So if you go into, let's say, you're interested in paranormal investigation and you go into a place where these investigators are taking you into a haunted house and you're all excited about it, but you still have like some of that indoctrinated fear about what you're going to see, more than likely you're going to see something scary, right? So just know that. So you have to come up in your vibrational state and know that depending on what frequency you're vibrating at, that is the type of interaction you're going to have with whatever beings you're interacting with. Orbs especially are very high level. I've never, ever had an orb encounter in my whole life that wasn't super high level, joyful, even playful, beautiful. I highly respect Nick Pope, but I think that's what he was speaking about is, watch your mind before you interact with anything and just let go of fear. Again, there are other versions of you. So why would you be scared of yourself? And go after it.
Awesome advice. And we have Lori Rosenfeld asking, are we aware of our individuality in the higher dimensional consciousness?
Wow, Lori, you're asking some deep questions. Again, yes, we are, but it's not as important. The star teachers tell me this. They, when they first started, I guess I've always worked with them, but I didn't know who it was I was working with. It was just, people who were helpful, especially when I was a child. But when they started coming into my sessions and manifesting physically in my office, and then gave me the directive to start holding these big group events where people could ask them questions, the first question most people would ask is, who are we talking to? And they said, we are you on another frequency, but we've evolved to a high enough place where we no longer have an ego personality, and therefore we don't have labels like names. And so, but people were getting frustrated, like, well, how do we address you? And they finally said, you can call us the star teachers or the teachers. So that has been my experience with some of these highly advanced beings, ETs and like the mantis beings and so forth. They don't even have a name, but they all still have an individual personality signature. They all bring something to the table. They're all unique in some way, and we always will be, but we're not attached to it so much like we are in this life. I hope that helps.
True. And we have Deb from Sacramento saying, asking, does Debz engage with DMT or anything that help her connect to her higher state?
I can say yes. And, but I didn't know I was for many, many decades, for most of my life, because when we do some of the practices I was telling you about earlier, about how to raise your vibrational state, and you activate the tiny crystals in the pineal gland with the breath work, with the breath retention, with using your voice, the pineal gland secretes DMT, causing visionary states. That's why it's so good to do before your meditation. That's why, great prophets had their visions. They knew how to do this. They've known how to done it ever since we were put on this planet or evolved on this planet. However, I will say that in recent years, because I have good friends, one of them is Drew Banke, who does, do sacred ceremonies. I got involved in doing sacred ceremony work, and I have, he was actually my shaman who helped me go through ceremony with Mother Ayahuasca. Profound experiences. And I highly recommend, by the way, but you do not have to do that. You can make your own. We all make our own DMT. In fact, there have been a lot of studies that show we release a huge amount of DMT at the moment of separating from right before we separate from our bodies. And that's why you see people who are on their deathbeds and suddenly, like my dad, I was with my dad and helping him pass. Suddenly he saw this beautiful angel at the foot of his bed, and he saw my mom there from the other side, and he spoke about it. And, you know, he was having that visionary state. So we do all engage with DMT, whether we know it or not. That's what causes your dreams, by the way, is that DMT is secreted every night when you go to sleep, a little bit, but the perfect dose for you. So I do it with myself and with help from others.
That is cool. And let me see. We have a couple more here. Actually, we have Fire Water by Design. Debz, do my guides have any messages for me regarding my upcoming situation this week?
Yes, the very, very important. Keep yourself in as high a vibrational state as you possibly can. In other words, feel all the good emotions and stay away from fear or doubt or worry about what this is going to come out as. See yourself already having accomplished it and having it in the most profound and positive way for you. Okay. And it will happen. Just keep that vibrational state high, stay out of worry. You know what worry is, Rob, and Firewater by Design. Worry is nothing more than believing in the worst case scenario happening and practicing it. That's what worry is. You're practicing the worst case scenario happening. Well, remember what we said at the beginning of the broadcast. Whatever you focus on the most is what you pull into your reality. It's what you create as your reality. So don't worry. Be excited. Be happy. Whatever is to happen is going to lead you to something much better than is happening now. Hope that helps.
Wow. Awesome stuff. And that was the last question. I do want to make sure that you go ahead and talk about the retreat again here.
Oh yeah. Well, this is it's a Contact Modalities Expo. It's a lot of you are familiar with like Conscious Life Expo and some of those things. This is like that, only it's in the Midwest. The Midwest doesn't seem to have very many of these. And so we have some great guests. We have Jimmy Church as our host, our MC. I'll be doing some things presenting there. Our movie Alien Abduction Answers is going to be screened there. But we have some amazing people. Ray Hernandez, who is so big in ET contact and he coined the contact modalities term several years ago in his books. He's going to be there. Chris Bledsoe, who is the great orb master, is going to be our headline speaker. Paula Harris. I could go on and on about these people. Kimberly Porth, one of the greatest CE5 facilitators, contact ambassadors in the world, is going to be leading the Skywatch. So I highly recommend that you guys come. Please do.
Awesome stuff. And this is where you can get more information here. contactmodalitiesexpo.com. Debz, we have about 45 seconds. Can you tell everybody where they can find you at?
Yeah. Well, my website is debzshakti.com. You can see how my name is spelled there, DebzShakti.com. And on most social media platforms, I go by Debz Shakti, except for Facebook, who makes me use DL Buller because they won't let me use my professional name. So my spiritual name. So, but just go to my website, all of that's in the contact section, and please do contact me. I am so happy to hear your stories and work with you and answer questions at any time. And I just love all of you. Thank you for listening tonight.
Oh, another awesome show. I feel fulfilled with the conversation that we had tonight. And it always makes me feel good at the end of a conversation if I feel like that conversation has moved the needle. And I think it has once again, and I think it always does. So Debz, we'll be talking soon so I can get you right back on the show. Can't wait. Outside of that, have a great rest of your night. And if you want to stick around, I'll see you in the back and I'll pull you forward.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, Stay right where you're at. Hour number 3 is up next, right here on Spaced Out Radio. Don't go anywhere.
That move the needle.
You're listening to After Hours with Mr. Rob G on the only place where you can own the night. Spaced Out Radio.
Spaced Out Radio. You've tuned your dial to the right frequency.
All right, guys, we'll see you right after this break. Welcome on back to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show, after hour number 3, as we get ready to come back from radio break here in about 15 seconds, guys. Make sure you're ready to get engaged with hour number 3 here, and we'll get ready to go in 5 seconds. Here we go. Welcome, everyone, to Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. I want to thank our guest, Debz Shakti. Awesome hours 1 and 2. If you missed any of those brilliant conversations, go ahead and jump in the archive. You do that anytime, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. As we get ready to kind of shift gears, get into hour number 3, which is going to be awesome. So make sure you stay right here. And we're going to go ahead and get to talking about a few things here. Let's see. I was going to run some Steve Stockton, but we will not. If you tuned in yesterday, then you know yesterday was a pretty awesome day for Spaced Out Radio. We had, surprise Dave with the video montage regarding 10 years of Spaced Out Radio, right? It's been 10 years right here at Spaced Out Radio, the only place where you can own the night. And Dave got a little teary-eyed and, kind of jumped on screen, showed up impromptu. We all kind of got together and chatted and talked. And Dave, prior to even knowing about that presentation, wanted to come on tonight's show. And said, hey, it's all right if I come on Saturday? I'm like, dude, of course. So hour number 3 right here, we have Dave Scott joining us tonight on the After Hours Weekend radio show. And I'm going to go ahead and bring him up on the screen along with the cast of others. So they choose. We have... Let me bring in our guy real quick first. Drew Benke. My guy Drew in the building. And then the man of the hour, David Scott.
What?
And if I can do this right, then we will also bring on, let me do it like this. There's me. There's Drew, there's Dave and Debz Shakti, who decided to stick around, and we definitely appreciate her doing that. As Space Out Radio's hit a milestone, 10 years in the game.
Amazing.
Day 1 of year 11 starts right now.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yes. Hard to believe, 10 years ago tonight. It was a Sunday night. And that's when we started it. Wow.
Tell us more, Dave. Tell us more.
What was it like? How many viewers?
I don't even know how many viewers over the years, but I remember when I left terrestrial radio in 2007. I remember saying I was done. I'm never going back. And I was very emotional about that because when I signed off my final sportscast it was July 4th, 2007 at 10:47 p.m. And that's when I signed off my last sportscast. And I kind of broke down then because I knew I wasn't returning. I knew my day in radio was over. And I knew that there was no coming back, no turning back. It was one of those career decisions that I made that I had to move on. And, a few years later, after my own experiences started and I couldn't find answers to what I was looking for, I ended up starting SOR on the advice from, at the time, somebody who was a friend. And he's like, well, let's just start it up, man. And I remember I had tickets that night. I had a choice to make. Uh, this meeting was on October 2nd, 2014. And I had a choice that night to either sit down and discuss this radio thing, or I could go see Slash with Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators front row.
Wow.
And I chose this meeting instead. And I still don't know if that was the right decision or not, because I really want to see Slash with Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators play. I like their music. But I had the meeting, and this person says to me, he goes, we got to get you back on the radio, Dave. And I'm like, dude, you just can't walk into a radio station and say, hey, give me the nighttime slot. I said, that's not really how it works. He's like, no, man, there's this entire online radio thing now. And when I left radio, I left. I didn't, it was right before the podcast started.
Mm.
You know, like we're not looking that long ago. It was only 10 years ago when podcasts started. And it was I didn't understand it. I didn't understand downloading. I didn't understand how people were getting the music or sportscasts or whatever on these little iPod Nanos. You remember them?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't get that. I totally didn't understand how any of that worked. And I was blown away. And when we started on November 30th, well, we first had to come up with a name, and I don't know why Spaced Out stuck with me, but it did. I'm still not sure I like the name, but it's stuck, and it's kind of where you got to be with it, right? I mean, sometimes you don't have a choice because you go and screw up and give someone the wrong name.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I actually had years later somebody within the UFO community actually tell me that I should have changed the name of this show because there were people within the UFO community who would not come on my show because of the name. It was too woo, too far out there.
Mm.
And these are people who I would like to have interviewed, because I think I would have given them a great interview, but nonetheless, because of the title of the show, they won't come on. How weird is that?
Not your people.
Well, there's a little inside information for you guys, but yeah, we started it, and I was the only host for 7 days a week for the longest time, and then I found a weekend host, and he ended up being somebody I didn't want to associate with. And once I found out about more detail, and so we parted ways, not very mutually, but we parted ways. And then it just kind of started and blew up from there. We've always been a 7-day-a-week show for the
Man.
longest time. We did take some time off weekends, but not very many. And we just kind of just went with it, man. We rolled with it. And, my inspiration, of course, was Art Bell. I mean, how could it not be? And I don't know. Whatever you guys want to ask tonight, just ask away.
I'll let you guys, because we spent some time last night. So I'll let you guys have any questions. I'll give you guys the floor first.
I just want to say I appreciate you taking a chance on me a few years ago. You gave me the confidence to keep on going and try to get more bookings and stuff. And you were one of my first that gave me a chance to come on. I think one of the first interviews I ever did with you was on my cell phone, and now being a part of the family, and being a part of your, what your dream is, I'm really honored, and being here on the 10th anniversary, I'm really honored to be here tonight. So I love you, Dave. I really appreciate you.
and I appreciate you too. And you know, I've watched you grow, Drew, and you know, you've gone from somebody who, you know, was a death knell in radio with a 10-second answer to somebody who beautifully elaborates and articulates the
Yes.
points, the concepts that you want to make, and it's really shown. I mean, you're a marketing genius. You're somebody who is very, very brilliant at what you were studying. And I remember when Rob said, "Hey, man, what do you think about me bringing in Drew Banky to come in on the weekend?" It wasn't even a question. It was just, "Yeah, go for it. I like Drew. Go for it." You know, I may not be the loudest person off the air, you know, but when it comes to it, good decisions have to be made. And the one thing I know about Rob is he's going to make good decisions, which is the best for the show, whatever's the best for the show. And damn it, I mean, you got a good one in you, Drew.
Yeah, I think I went through like 4 or 5 different hairstyles since I've known you. So
Yeah.
if you go back through the archives, every one of those first couple of interviews, I had a different hair. I went from dreads to you know, to long braids to long hair, and so yeah, I think I went through like 5 different hairstyles through the years since I've
I
known
do
you.
dreads. I do. Not gonna
Yeah.
lie. That one still gets me. It's like, come on, Drew, we can do better than that. Let's get those dreads back.
No, I don't know. I don't know if they'll be back, but yeah, I appreciate you. I mean, I appreciate and it's, you know, I believe, and you know, when we first started talking, you know, synchronicities and consciousness and stuff was just now starting to get into the talk, and to see your openness and your, you know, you going out and having your own experiences and stuff like that, and then coming back and allowing that to permeate through your radio show, you know, I see growth in that too. And I remember the first couple episodes we talked about, like, you know, you're kind of raising your eyebrow at some of the things I was saying, and now I think it's making a lot more sense to you, and it just goes to show the evolution of not only yourself but the show itself, and what you have, the movement you have going on.
Well, you know what? I appreciate that. And watching you grow, I mean, just like you have grown, Drew, I've grown as well.
Sure,
You
we're
know,
all ever all the time. Yeah,
you know, sometimes I don't like the way I've grown because it's in my waistline, but you know, the reality is we all grow and mature. I mean, I look at where I was on the UFO topic 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and it is completely different from where I am now. And I'll be honest with you, and I've said this on air, I don't like ufology anymore.
Mhm.
I don't, pardon me, I love ufology. I don't like you apology for UAP.
Yeah.
I don't like you apology. And it's, to me, there's a major difference. You know, Deb, I don't want to sound aged here, but I mean, I remember, and I'm sure you will too, Deb, because Drew and Rob are sort of the newcomers over the last number of years here. But when I started even 10 years ago, it was, you know, the people in ufology, they may not have agreed, but they, for the most part, were all nice.
Yeah.
You know, you go to a conference, and if you saw Grant Cameron or Steve Bassett or Richard Dolan or Melinda Leslie or whomever it may be, Travis Walton, Betty
Mhm.
Andreessen, Calvin Parker, you go to those conferences, and everybody was there together under the same roof. You may
Yeah.
not have agreed with the other researcher, but there was still a modicum of respect there. You know,
And
because
everybody treated everyone as equals. You
absolutely.
know, it was a true community. But you know, as communities grow, that's what happens. There starts to become fragments, and
Well, that's
yeah,
why I think,
it's sad.
and I give Nicole Sackich credit for this,
Mhm.
where she calls it the 2017s. She calls the new you apology the 2017s. And the 2017s have done a great job, and I'm serious about this, a great job of taking ufology and blowing it up on social media.
Yeah.
But as good as that's been, the detractors figured out how to podcast,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I've never been a banner in our chat room, but I do now because I'm just tired of BS.
Yeah.
Tired of it. After 10 years, as I said to my audience the other day, I have 0 F's to give anymore.
Yeah. I think when, and I'm older than all of y'all, but when you get to be a certain age, that's part of your reward, I think, is to not have to give F's and to be authentic. And just be authentic. I don't pull punches either. So
a lot of good memories, though. A lot of good memories.
well, I appreciate you too, Dave. I mean, goodness, you did so much to help John Yost and I get our movie out there to people. You exposed so many people to it, Alien Abduction Answers. And from then on, we became friends. You had me on your show countless times. And it's just always been such a pleasure. And then Rob started having me on the show. It's just, it's something I've watched grow from the beginning. I've been a listener since almost the beginning. And it's just been so amazing, the different factions of life that you bring on. And yet they all seem to have this underpinning of, community. I really like that. And sharing of information. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's
So
pretty
thank
cool.
you.
And you're very welcome.
And the music, everything. It's just so different. It's just so, well, it's just me anyway. I just love it. So thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Not to mention that silky voice, that silky radio voice. I mean, that's 50% of it right there. You could talk about anything.
He could recite the alphabet and we'd be mesmerized.
You know how many cigarettes I have to smoke to get that every night? Right? You wouldn't believe how many people at radio smoke just so they could get that sound.
Oh my goodness.
If you ever go back, I don't know if you've ever seen these, Drew, but if you go back and look for old photos of Art Bell in his studio, he literally has an ashtray that is like Mount St. Helens, of cigarette butts and ashes that are overflowing. It's like when you put too much gravy on mashed potatoes, right?
Yeah, it's like when you go to visit that one aunt that doesn't come to Thanksgiving, but you have to go visit her, and she tells you to bring a pack of cigarettes when you come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. But we've met a lot of good people and a lot of good relationships have formed. And you have to go through your bumps. We've gone through our bumps over the years. I've always treated SOR as a business, and a lot of people either A, don't get that, or B, don't like it. I would say a lot of people. I would say the majority love what we do, but there are times when we've had to make tough decisions on people, and it wasn't working. But I've never given up why we've let someone go at that point, or why someone has walked away. I've always taken the high road. And I remember having to let somebody go because they were doing an after party on Skype, and they would give out the phone number, and one day this person who was hosting just said some extremely vulgar things to a listener.
Oh dear.
And I was listening in. She didn't know I was listening in, and I was listening in, and I piped up and I said, "You're fired." Right? Or you have people who try to use you to build their own little empire, and they get people in their ear saying, screw Spaced Out Radio, just use them to build a name and a fan base, and all those people will come subscribe to your channel, and I've had that. 4 times, but I don't talk about that, that because it's not very cool to.
Well, that's because you're a class act, and that's why you've been here 10 years.
Mm.
That's why you're such a huge success. So,
But I mean, there's also good things that have happened. I owe a lot of people, man. Lorian Fenton and Grant Cameron, to name 2 of them. Lorian Fenton, if she wouldn't have grabbed a hold of my hand and tugged me and said, "Come with me, I'm going to introduce you to a ton of people."
Mhm.
That was one of the greatest gifts I've ever had in this field.
so
And that's why I try and, when Rob and I communicate about the show and guests and everything, and that's what I try to say, man, like at the fan party, don't hang out with me. It's great that we get to hang out, but talk to the guests that are there. It's like when we go to Vegas next year, May 1st to 4th, no party, but everybody's invited.
so cool.
We go talk to the people that are there, man. That's what it's all about. Don't worry about me. We talk every day. We can talk every day on the phone or on here or whatever, but talk to the people, right? See what you can get. Build your sources, build your credibility with them, and I used to think it was about going to conferences. I used to think that it was, if we could get Contact in the Desert or Cosmic Awakening or whatever the big one was at the time, that it would just do so much. I've been to so many conferences now. It doesn't help. It really doesn't help. They're fun. Don't get me wrong.
They're fun, but
They are a blast, but they don't help. It's about focusing on what you're doing now and just having fun. Bombshell Bomber, there is a fan get together. Merle and I are having a get together in Vegas. Sweet Robbie G is going to be there May 1st to 4th, but we are not making it an official SOR fan party. It's whoever shows up, and then you can come party with us. And we'll talk about spooky stuff. We'll make things happen and maybe drive to Area 51 or whatever. But we're going to make it good. Yeah.
We're definitely driving to Area 51. I'm owed that because I'll tell you, sir, I was with my girl one time, and I was living in Sacramento at the time, and I chose to drive the route that goes through Reno, and then from Reno down to Las Vegas, and then on the way, I mapped out Area 51. We got right there to the black mailbox, checked it out, took some pictures, which is right next to the gravel road that you have to go down. I think that's Groom Lake Road that you take to go down to the gate. We got on the road. I didn't even ask her really. We just got on the road, bumping and rocks and on kicking up and all that stuff. And then about a few hundred feet down the road, she gets scared and says, "I don't know if the car will make it. I think we should turn around." And then I had to turn around. So I never got to actually get to the gate of Area 51. So for sure, Dave, we got to go to the gate of Area 51.
Oh, I agree. I want a picture with the sign. I want a picture with the sign that says "Do not cross." And Merle's going to be there. We both know somebody who can help us get there. So.
Oh yeah. That guy.
That random guy, can help us get there. But that's kind of cool, man. God.
Yeah. We I want to give you the signal, Dave, because we got about 30 seconds to go before we hit the break. So I did want to go ahead and take a moment to just say, man, you've been awesome for these 10 years. Yeah, I'm going to play the clip that I recorded for you after the break as well. But we're kicking butt, and we're just going to keep kicking butt. So everybody, don't go anywhere. Stay right there. We got Dave Scott in studio with us, celebrating 10 years of Spaced Out Radio, as we're actually one day in to year 11. You guys don't go anywhere. Stay right there. We'll be right back right after the break. All right, guys, we are crystal clear. All right, so I know Debz has been here for 2.5 hours now. Debz, I if you have to go right now, I totally understand. I know you're on a different time zone too. I do appreciate you coming in, but you're more than welcome to stay for the rest if you want to. It's up to you.
It's a half hour, isn't it? So I
Yep.
can hang and
Good.
let as long as y'all want me here. I'm
Yeah.
I'm loving being here with you guys. So
Well, that's
Very
fantastic to hear.
I'll be right back, Robbie.
Yep.
yeah, same here.
Yeah, let me cue up the whole video. Did you see it last night, Drew? The video montage?
I didn't know. I was on the way back from spending a bunch of money for Black Friday.
You get some good stuff?
No, just not just for other people, you know.
Oh, okay, good. Christmas
You know.
shopping.
Yeah,
Okay, there we go.
you know, doing the thing.
Yeah,
So it's 111. This is the beginning of the first day of the 11th year. So it's 111. Who I'm all about like numbers, man.
yeah,
It's juicy.
yeah, man. And like I said, we know what we do on the weekends. Dave does his thing during the week. It's just a lot of strong stuff going on over here at Space Out Radio.
Bro, I want to mention that guest I sent you, dude, that's coming up in December. Holy moly. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, we got to talk about that. I definitely want to find out more, just what you know, as far as what you know. Spaced Out Radio listeners and fans. So that's the one I recorded. Let me take that, run that back.
Yeah, but angels, man. So she's like a medium, but she mediums through angels. So different mediums have different, whoever their spirit guides or whatever. But she's connected to angels. Like she's giving me a lot of advice that's true. So
yeah, I gotta get some info on her. She been on other shows.
yeah, but I mean a lot of it in Spanish, but I mean she speaks English, but it's gonna be, but yeah, it's gonna be great, man. She's really in tune.
I'm looking forward to it. We got her booked, I think the 7th, right?
December 7th. Speaking to angels.
And then Deb from SAC, Rob G, are we going to share our Black Friday stories? I guess we could do that, right? On the after show over at Social Dig. You can drop the link in the chat. It would be appreciated. And then, yeah, why not? That could be exactly what we talk about over there. Sure. Awesome stuff.
So my stepdaughter brung over her VR headset, and I was messing around with it. I've never had one before, and Hawk was like following me around when I had it on, and I was like in this zombie game, and I dropped a gun, and I leaned forward to get the gun. I couldn't see anything like in the room, and I headbutted Hawk. And it slammed the headset right into my eye, and oh man, it killed the whole vibe. But it was fun for a minute. But I was like, man, this is almost like taking a really big dose of like ayahuasca, like going all the way into another dimension. Have you ever messed around with one, Debz?
I haven't. My husband David has, and he keeps telling me to do it, and I keep telling him to do ayahuasca. So, I've seen him with the headset on, and I'm like, I don't know, dude. But I'd love to. I just haven't had the opportunity. But
it's really interesting.
It is. If you have the right experience, right? Just depends on what you're doing, but it's very immersive, and
Yeah.
You feel like you're there. There's this boxing game that I started using for cardio, right? And is you're really boxing in there. I mean, you're boxing. So, and by the end, if you can last a round, you see what kind of shape you're in after
Yeah.
about a round of that thing. I'm sitting down, I'm putting it up, I'm taking the thing off. I'm like, I'm done. I am done with this.
Cool.
Hello, gentlemen, lady.
We got about 20 seconds, Dave Scott, before we come back from break. I'll have to remember that Cat Tongue, Walking Dead Saints and Sinners for VR is fun. I'll have to check that out, Cat Tongue. All right, here we go. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio after hour number 2.5. Back half of the show, back half of the third hour. About 20 minutes left here. Dave Scott, 10 years at SOR, joined by Drew Banky, Debz Shakti. We're all just giving congratulations in sorts. If you missed any of the show, hop in the archive, youtube.com/@SpacedOutRadio, and you'll catch up on what you missed as we get right back into it. So, yeah, Dave, I just wanted to start this because it's all verbal. So I was going to play for the people that may have missed the video clip. I thought Tim was going to be here tonight. We were going to watch the whole thing, but we could just watch the clip that I recorded for you, man. Yeah. And it was straight from the heart, dude. I just want you to know that. And I really had an awesome time recording it. And I think it hit on everything that I wanted to say. So here we go, guys. Our radio listeners and fans from across the globe, tonight I have the distinct honor and privilege of celebrating an incredible milestone for someone who has not only been a pioneer in the field of paranormal radio, but a mentor, a leader, and an inspiration to so many of us, Dave Scott. 10 years ago, Dave embarked on an extraordinary journey founding Spaced Out Radio with the vision of creating a platform for the unexplained, the mysterious, and the extraordinary. Over the years, he has fearlessly explored the unknown, asking the questions most wouldn't dare, engaging with a community of open-minded truth seekers. Dave, as someone who's had the privilege of working under your leadership as a weekend host, I have to say this: your passion is contagious. Your dedication is unparalleled, and your ability to connect with people both on and off the air is nothing short of remarkable. You built more than just a radio show, sir. You built a movement, a family, and a home for those of us who dare to look beyond the stars. On a personal level, though, I want to thank you, Dave, for believing in me and encouraging me to bring my voice and my experiences to this incredible platform. Your trust and guidance have meant the world to me, and I'm truly honored to be part of the legacy that you created. So here's to you, Dave Scott, and to 10 years of Spaced Out Radio. May the next decade be even more groundbreaking, more thought-provoking, and more inspiring. Congratulations, my friend. You have earned it. And being the caring and giving person that you are, we happen to be in the season of giving here in the United States, Thanksgiving. And just thinking of Thanksgiving, the cornbread, the dressing, the turkey, the ham, the yams. I'm just getting hungry thinking about it. So you know what? It is dinner time right now. I think I'll know what I'll do. I'll be right back. Speaking of getting hungry, I think it's about time that we had breakfast for dinner. Right over there. Pancake sounds about right. Breakfast for dinner. Good. Happy 10th anniversary, Dave Scott. Spaced Out Radio, the only place where you can own the night.
Oh, I hate you for that.
That, sir, is for you. That's for you, Dave Scott.
I have a Spaced Out Radio trivia question for everybody. including our audience in the chat room on YouTube. Do you all know how we came up with the slogan, "We own the night"?
No.
I
It's
know, but I won't spoil it. Go ahead.
it's actually a really cool story. When I was 18 years old, I went to an air show in my hometown, and I had gone to that air show since I was 3 years old. And I met, let me explain. My dad ran the pilot's bar at the airport. And this was 1991. And the first Gulf War had ended. And I was trying really hard to get into the Canadian Armed Forces because I wanted to be a fighter pilot. And unfortunately, after the first Gulf War ended, our illustrious prime minister at the time, right after the war, just hacked and slashed our defense budget, and it put hiring freezes on the military for 2 to 4 years, depending on the position. And I never got to get in because by the time they opened up the hiring, I had blown out my knee and had surgery on my knee and had pins put in my knee. So I never got to do it. That was later on. But during that air show in 1991, there was an F-117 Nighthawk that flew in, the stealth fighter. And the pilot was there, and I got to meet him. I don't remember his name, but I remember the patch on his arm. And it was the F-117. See if I can find it here. It was... so this patch... see if we can bring it up here. This one's from eBay, but I'm just going to bring it up here, Rob. Where is it here?
It's freaking me out, Dave.
Well, it's not working right now. Just share this tab. So this patch here is the one he had on his shoulder.
Wow.
I loved that patch so much, and the name on the top is "We Own the Night." And that stuck with me. And so when we started Spaced Out Radio, I figured a little bit in that we needed a slogan, we needed a change. And I thought, how do I do it? I've always loved that slogan, "We Own the Night." Now, when I say, or when Rob says, "We own the night," it isn't us as Rob or Dave saying it. I had a poster created. Rob, do you have the poster? The original poster?
Ooh, I might have to look for it. The SOR logo, the old SOR logo.
Yeah. So I had a poster created by a friend of mine who is a designer for the local newspaper. And what it is everybody thought that I lived in a cabin in the middle of the forest here in British Columbia, which is not true, but close enough to being true. And because I do literally live in the middle of nowhere. And so in that forest picture with the cabin in the background, there is pictures of a graveyard in there with tombstones, with gnomes and black triangles and aliens and ghosts and Bigfoot and Dogman and everything in there. So when we say we own the night, it's not Rob or myself or Spaced Out Radio that owns the night. It's all of those creatures that own the night.
Love it.
So when I say together, my friends, we own the night, it's all of them, all of those creatures that keeps us up at night that we love talking about, who are saying we own the night. So that's how we got the slogan. Now, the funny part about this is there's another caveat to this story. About 5 years ago, one of the people that I talked to, he's not even in the military, but this dude is so connected. He calls me up and he's like, I have a question for you. And I said, shoot. Because it was rare that he called me unless he wanted something. And he goes, are you NRO? And I said, what the hell's the NRO? And he goes, the National Reconnaissance Organization. So there's the photo right there.
Yeah.
See the aliens, you can see the ghosts, the Bigfoot. There's fairies in the trees, Mothman, black triangles, discs with a cabin in the background with orbs and everything. So getting back to my friend Jamie, who called me up and he goes, are you NRO? And I said, what the hell is the NRO? He goes, the National Reconnaissance Organization. And I laughed. I said, no, not at all. Why would you ask me that? And he goes, well, you know my friend, the General. That's all I know. The General. I said, yeah. I don't know this person's name. I don't know where they're located or anything. He just has a family friend that I believe is like a 4-star general. And he goes, well, the General called me and said, hey, you've talked to your buddy on that radio show. He goes, yeah. He goes, is he NRO? And I said, why? Well, the NRO slogan is, we own the night.
Oh, wow.
And I never knew that. And it freaked me the hell out. And it was the weirdest thing. It was the weirdest thing for me to learn because I had no clue that even existed. So the NRO logo is a, where is it here? I just got to find it. It's a, it's so strange because it ties into what we do here. And I don't know if you could all see that.
Oh, wow.
So you have our logo is an owl.
Yeah. Wow.
You have the owl eyes. And what's below it? We own the night. But here's the interesting thing about logos, guys, that I want you to know. Every and Drew, you'll know this from your time in the military.
Dude, but look at what I'm wearing today. I've never worn this. I've never worn this sweater. This is my military. This is all my military patches on my sweater.
Yeah.
I've never worn this sweater today. I wore it tonight for some reason. It's so crazy you're talking about that. It's giving me chills.
Here's the interesting part about this logo. What people need to understand is every logo and patch tells a story. Mm-hmm. And only the people involved know what that story means. So if we look at this patch, we see the sun setting over or rising or setting over South America. Under the owl eyes is Africa. Mm-hmm. We have 3 white boomerang style UFOs and 1 black one. So the question is, what does that mean? I don't know.
I'm freaking out, man.
That is crazy. And where the sun is, did you say it's setting? Where the sun's setting?
The sun is setting in South America because you can see the tip of South America.
It looks like where Easter Island is.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that shows that they own the night because they're going into a nighttime area, which is through Africa. But if you look where that goes, these boomerang shaped craft are heading is into the Middle East.
Yeah.
It doesn't show you where they're going. It shows you that they are heading that direction.
Well, isn't Egypt in Africa as well? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. They'd be going over, just on the west side of South Africa, straight through to Egypt, and then into the Middle East, probably where Israel is, Syria, all that.
Iran, Iraq.
Brand. Yeah.
Yeah. Iran, Iraq,
No,
Afghanistan.
but this is crazy, dude. You're giving me chills when you started talking about the patch, because I've been public speaking since 2019. I've never wore this in an interview. And you start talking about a guy wearing patches. It's crazy.
Yeah. So if you go back to the F-117 patch, this is where it gets a little cool, okay? Just to show you this. On this patch here, see if I can zoom in on it. On this patch here, you see the F-117 stealth fighter. You now have to count the stars. There's 1, 2, 3 on the bottom, 4 on, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 stars. So you have to wonder, what do those stars mean? And then the crescent moon, which if you look into Middle Eastern history, what are the swords? They're all
The scepter.
they're all a scepter.
Yeah.
So there next you have the oil rig to show you're in the desert, with the mosque
Mhm.
and the desert land. And then look who's there. Little Red Riding Hood. Instead of a wolf, you have the Lockheed Skunk Works skunk.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Carrying the Grim Reaper's scythe.
Exactly. So basically, I remember that fighter pilot telling me that one of the most beautiful things he ever saw was when he dropped his ordnance in the middle of Baghdad. They immediately grabbed the stick of the jet, they pulled back, and they went straight vertical above 40,000 feet, because the armament, the anti-aircraft guns could not reach past 40,000 feet. And he said, Dave, it was the most beautiful thing I ever saw if I didn't know they were trying to kill me. Right? But every patch has a story, and that's pretty incredible. Now, I saw there, and Drew, did you ever get any military coins?
Oh, yeah.
So you know
Yeah.
the story behind the coins, which
Yeah.
is they're mission coins. And very few people get those, if I'm correct. I saw somebody who used to work I'll just say Black Ops. He showed me a coin one day, and he said, if you want to learn more about Black Ops operations, he goes, watch Alice in Wonderland. This is one of the most important pieces of advice I was ever given on Spaced Out Radio. He goes, watch Alice in Wonderland. He goes, because Black Ops is all about the rabbit hole.
Mhm.
And he showed me this coin, and it was the Mad Hatter holding a red pill and a blue pill.
Huh.
Now, the interesting part about this coin was, I don't know if I can find it here. The interesting part about this coin was the Mad Hatter was holding the red and blue pill. But guess what? The Matrix, when that coin came out, Matrix hadn't even come out as a movie yet.
Oh, wow.
And here's the real interesting part about it, that when I looked at this coin, that this person hadn't even noticed yet. Okay. Over the Mad Hatter's left shoulder was a dissipating white pill. And what did the white pill look like? It looked like a Tic Tac.
Oh man.
and it was in darkness. A white pill, like a Tic Tac, over his left shoulder in darkness. So, are the Tic Tacs ours? That coin would say, yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
What are you trying to do tonight, Dave? Blow our minds?
It just gave me chills.
I didn't know this. I didn't know this story of We Own the Night, though. I knew part of that story, but not into the whole patchwork. So that was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I would say if the Tic Tacs are ours, they would have to be like drone operated. You know, just given the mathematics on the G forces, if there's actually a pilot inside that craft, like physically in the craft, I don't see how, the G forces over 2000 G forces, and some of the recorded speeds that they're going and movements that they're going. That's, I don't understand how they could do that. Drone operated, I could see it. It's not that far fetched. We were using drones in 2007. We were flying drones in Iraq and in Western Iraq around Ramadi and Fallujah area. So we were already flying drones then in 2007.
Well, Drew, would you think maybe if we do have the technology to accelerate, decelerate, and turn on a dime like the Tic Tac does, wouldn't we also maybe have the technology to form a gravity bubble or a plasma bubble around that so that those forces don't affect anything? Because why doesn't it tear that vehicle up? There has to be something, a buffer zone around it. So I agree with you. I think I think it's remotely driven from what I've seen, but how do they keep the vehicle itself from pulling apart? So there has to be some sort of a bubble around it, a buffer zone.
This is a big conversation to start. 3 minutes left.
I know, God. I'm like, come on, guys.
I was just going to say, Debz, you're kind of kicking off the next episode that we might have to do here. So
Man, you're talking my language now. I just like, these are the things that keep me up at night. Literally.
Good to know. So we do have about 20 seconds left in the show. So Dave, once again, appreciate you coming in tonight, allowing us to celebrate the 10 years with you, man. This is day one of year 11, where we will have the argument for the next decade if breakfast or dinner is a real thing or not, and if hockey is actually a sport, which we know it's not. Well, we want to thank our guest for tonight, Debz Shakti. We want to thank Drew Banky. We want to thank Dave Scott, the conductor of the Woo Train, coming in. We want to thank the man that you hear right now, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, the one who's rocking us out each and every weekend, teaching us to never say never again. Because as you all know, the phenomena is very real, and anything and everything is possible under that. So if you love the show tonight, show your love by putting your horns up. We'd appreciate that. Also, we want to thank the viewers and listeners on terrestrial radio and on digital platforms from anywhere and everywhere that you may be listening from in the world. We definitely appreciate you tuning your frequency to Spaced Out Radio, where we do what we do best. And what's that, Dave Scott?
We own the night.
We own the night. This broadcast is copyrighted Spaced Out Radio, SOR Media Ventures Limited. Once again, it has been a pleasure being your host tonight. I am Mr. Rob G. That is Drew Banky. That is Debz Shakti. That is Dave Scott. This is the After Hours Radio Show. And to all you space travelers out there, don't worry, this is not a goodbye nor a farewell. However, at the next time we meet up, as we go off air for the night, you best believe we'll be right back here. Much love. Take care. Thanks for coming in. We are out. right. That was an awesome show. That was great. I appreciate everybody who participated. I appreciate everyone who has come in tonight. Great show. Yeah, Debs, let's set the date. Drew, we're back here tomorrow doing the same thing. And Dave, I don't know what do you have planned for the weekend? What are you going out to do? Anything special?
Tomorrow I am doing nothing.
That's a great thing.
My Christmas lights. I got the final day of hunting season in, and I skipped work for it. So I am doing nothing, I tell you. Nothing.
Sounds awesome.
Is that what you got? Is that what you got hunting?
Today I got, my buddy wanted a couple of rabbits, so we went out and we got 3 rabbits and 1 grouse.
Oh, good. I didn't want you to do nothing tomorrow and then get nothing hunting. At least you got something hunting. Now you could do nothing.
Well, hunting season ended today for deer, birds, and a bunch of other species. So now I'm going to throw my deer tags out. I didn't get a deer, but I wasn't really hunting deer. I'm not good with a rifle yet. It's my first year hunting.
Yet.
And I really suck at shooting. But today I was pretty good.
Right on.
As long as you're out there, man. That's it.
Yeah.
Dude, connecting with your meal like that, it's a sacred thing for real.
It is.
You got to say thank you to Mother Nature, man. You got to say thank you and to Mother Earth for the gift that she gave you for food.
Oh yeah.
And here's a real interesting thing that caught my attention today when we were hunting. We got the 3rd rabbit. My buddy Mike, we were going up. We call this one road Rabbit Road because there's always a ton of rabbits on it. And we got the 3rd one. We drove probably another half mile. And Mike just all of a sudden out of nowhere goes, "I'm good. I don't need any more." I'm like, dude, we got like 2.5 hours of hunting left. Right? He's like, "Yep, I don't need any more rabbits." He goes, "I'll have enough for my freezer for a little bit." And as soon as he said that, we did not see another rabbit out there. It was like all of a sudden it was
agreement.
Okay, the agreement has been made.
Yep.
And we're done.
So
We are done. And so we still hunted down because we were still looking for birds. Didn't find any. Like it was just the day was over, and it was a great day. Great day. So yeah, and then I came home, put my Christmas lights up.
Awesome stuff.
That's
Awesome
great.
stuff.
Right on.
Well, Dave, congratulations and thank you once again. Rob, thank you. And Drew, thank you. I have to go because I've been up since 4:30 a.m.
Yes, I'll be reaching out
Oh,
soon.
but I love you guys.
Yeah, we love you too, Debs. Thank you so much.
Much love, sister.
Bye. See you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Yes. So, with that being said, I got another show to do here in a few minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to get up out of here. Dave, do you got anything you want to leave everybody with? Same with Drew. Any last messages for the audience?
I might come harass you on your other channel.
Okay, you're very welcome to do so, sir.
What?
I'll send you the link.
Drew, I apologize for taking up all your time on here tonight, man.
No, I love you being here, man. It was awesome. Don't even think about that. This is your show, brother, and I'm just glad to be a small part of it, man. That's all.
Appreciate you, my man.
Yeah, appreciate you. That's all I got, Rob, and I'll see everyone tomorrow. Looking forward to it.
You know it. The guest will be Andrew Razowick back. The psychic fighter is back. Everybody loved him the first time. Guys, make sure you're here for him tomorrow as well. And with that being said, hold it. Yeah, before I go, John Swan, let me go ahead and put out the link for this after show here. Give me just a moment here. And I will do that right now.
Roll them up and meet in the parking lot.
Share it. Copy. All right, here we go. Control V. All right, there you go. Outside of that, we will catch you guys back here tomorrow, 8 p.m. Pacific to 11 p.m. right here in the After Hours Radio Show. Let's go ahead and get up out of here. You guys all take care. See you over there.
Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.